Hey guys, Ferrell here. This is a quick recap of how my last 2 years have been with the Fujifilm X-S10, why I love it, why I hate it, and why it's gone. Let's go. So the Fujifilm X-S10 has a lot of great features and it's very overlooked by classic Fujifilm photographers. I myself am one of those classic Fujifilm photographers. My first Fujifilm camera was the X Pro 1. I had that for around 6 or 7 years. I then had a Fujifilm X-70. I've had the X-S10 and I'm currently using the X-T4. The X-S10 was one of the best cameras I've used to date. I've used Nikon, Canon and Sony systems prior to this, and during my time with the X-S10 there's definitely some pros and some cons that people need to be aware of. Now let's get it out of the way. Let's start with the cons. So the Fujifilm X-S10 cannot do 4K 60 FPS in video. That said, you've got to consider how important that is to you. Another con is that it doesn't have the typical Fujifilm look or the Fujifilm dials. Now, the look for me is of some importance because I want a tool that's going to make me feel inspired to use it. The dials are a sticking point. I very much enjoy being able to set my shutter speed and my ISO on the fly, just quickly looking at what I need rather than using an undescript dial. What I did find a great advantage with the X-S10 is having the PASM dial, having the custom buttons on there, so I could give this camera to my partner, switch it to custom 2, which was her custom preset, and I'd already put all the settings in there ready to go, and straight out of the camera I could know that there was going to be a pretty good image. Another con for me is the fact that the X-S10 still uses the W126S battery, which just isn't good enough nowadays, but I did always have spares because I used to have spares from my other Fujifilm cameras. So in a way it wasn't that big of an issue for me, but it was certainly infuriating to have to consider taking 3 or 4 batteries with me on the trip. A big issue I've run into recently, and it's definitely the biggest con for me with the X-S10, I am tending to find that I actually need a weather resistant camera, and this is one of the things where I just can't trust the Fujifilm X-S10. Now there are plenty of posts online saying how it doesn't officially have weather sealing, but it will survive in the snow and stuff like that. But for me, you know, I'm shooting mainly in UK where all it does is rain, and I'm shooting a lot in Poland where it mainly just rains. I've been caught out a couple of times with the X-S10 where I've been in situations such as climbing mountains where I've not been able to get the pictures that I necessarily want because I've been too afraid to use a tool as a tool. So for me, that was the main driving force why I upgraded. Now, if you're a photographer looking to get into the X series cameras to use those great lenses and you don't need 4K 60, side note, you probably don't, and if you don't need weather sealing, then I think that the X-S10 is a very overlooked camera in that line. I know obviously we've got the Fuji X Summit coming up soon, and there is a chance that the X-S10 may get an update, but for now, the X-S10 is a fantastic camera. The price is really good, the in-body stabilization is some of the best out there. So let's jump ahead and go on the pros here. It has one of the best APS-C sensors to date, and certainly one of the highest in the Fujifilm line. It's got a tilty flip out screen. Some people don't like that. Personally, I prefer that for video work. Other than that, I'm generally just using a viewfinder. And I also like that I can flip the screen over to protect it when I put it in my bag. But I have found that the face and the eye tracking of the X-S10 is certainly on par with the majority of newer camera systems, and I've had no issues with that, shooting a lot of human subjects, which the same can't be said for quite a few of the previous Fujifilm models. Another huge pro of the X-S10 is it is bloody tiny, and it's got a very nice grip on it. I would actually say out of all of the Fujifilm cameras I have held, I found it to have the best grip, and on the back there is a slight area to rest your thumb, and that just really makes it sit nicely in the hand. And even with that, it is such a tiny frame of a camera. If you're happy with a PASM dial on your camera and you're not too bothered about having the dials say what the dials do on them, then it might be worth your time looking into the X-S10. Now, I have since then Traded this in and got myself an X-T4, which is what this film is being shot on, but I do want to say the X-S10 is a fantastic camera, and if you are considering buying it, I don't think you'll go far wrong. It's an extremely capable video camera in general. If you're looking for a strong step into the Fuji lineup at not too much money, then I think the X-S10 might be the one to look for. It's a great camera for vlogging and photography, so don't skip over it. If this is your first time in the Fuji system, definitely have a look. Just remember, get a couple of extra batteries. I usually do with every camera I buy anyway, and remember that it's not weather sealed. Other than that, you won't go far wrong. Between that and my X-T4, there were advantages that the X-T4 doesn't have. Like I say, the X-S10 is a bit smaller and it has a bit of a better grip. But overall, I've got to say my time with the X-S10 was amazing, and it's definitely a camera I can solidly recommend. Alright, stay in touch for more video guys. Like, share and subscribe, all the fun YouTube algorithm stuff. Peace!